What's up? I just want to make a little video talking about development with AI. Specifically, this week, I've been messing around with something called claude.ai, and it's really powerful, man. And I've been using a lot of AI tools in general, like at work, and they've come a long way. I mean, they're just going to keep going up, but they're really useful. And I'm a professional software engineer, and I've been trying to use the AI tools as much as I can. I've used GitHub Copilot, I've used Claude, I've used a lot of Chat GPT, and they all have different, I wouldn't say they all have different things they're good at, but Claude is the best one I've used so far. And specifically, what I did was I signed up for a Claude subscription. I think it's $10. No, I think it's $20 a month. Is it $10 a month or $20 a month? It's some small amount of money per month. And basically, what Claude is it's a command line tool that it just can kind of do it can do all kinds of stuff. It can tell you stuff to code, but what's cool is it can actually also modify the files and actually build projects for you. So specifically what I've been trying to use it for is writing iOS applications to run on your iPhone. I've thought about doing this before. I've messed around with like React Native. I'm not a front end developer per se. I do some front end development at work, but I'm not that great at it. I'm more of a server developer personally, and I've never done any kind of iOS or app development of any kind. So what I was really hoping to see is, can something like Claude take me, an engineer with essentially no mobile experience, and start writing an app? And let me tell you, man, I think it can. It's pretty sick. So I've been messing around with a couple different app ideas this week. They're nothing special. One thing I was trying to do is think of apps I can write that don't require a server backend. That all they would require is just the iOS app, and that's it. So, what are things you could do that just need the app and don't need a backend? Things like a note-taking app, or something to do with the camera, or there's a few things you can do. Like, you couldn't build like a Facebook or a Twitter without a backend. Like, you need somewhere to store that data. You need the server kind of processing, login, all that type of stuff. So I figured if I could do something first with just a front end, that would be much simpler. And so far, it's been going really well. What's really cool about Claude is I'll basically just say, like, hey, for example, you could be like, hey, make me a to-do list iOS app, and make me the project files and everything. It'll go through and even make you, because you need to have, if you want to do iOS development, you need to have a Mac, you need to have Xcode installed and all the developer tools and all that kind of stuff. But what's cool is it walks you through telling you everything you need to get set up, and it can even create like the Xcode projects for you. It can walk you through all the steps of, because then I'm like, okay, well, how do I get this on the App Store? And it'll like walk you through, here's all the steps you need to take. Like this week I signed up for an Apple developer account, paid $100 for that. It's $100 a year, and that allows you to put your apps on the App Store. I also ask you questions like, if I want to charge money for my apps, do I need to set up a company? And it turns out you don't, because Apple will just 1099 you. They'll just give you tax forms. Like if you write an app and you put it up for sale, You need a developer account, you need to pay that $100. But from there, um, Apple will just treat you like you're working as a contractor for them essentially and just give you a 1099 form and just send you the money. So, yeah, this week I started doing some app development. I'm pretty hopeful that I can actually get an app on the App Store, or at least submit it to get on the App Store by tomorrow. That's my goal. I have an app. I don't really want to talk about what it is. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's nothing that special, but it is something that I think people could use. I'm sure there's others like it. I'm not trying to, come up with some amazing new idea. I don't have like some crazy idea. My plan right now is just like get one app on the App Store. It's something I've wanted to do for years and years and years. I've looked into it here or there. I've been very overwhelmed at doing the development, getting on the App Store, and using some tools like Claude. Man, it makes it simpler. I mean, it is really crazy. I mean, like, just to go from like nothing to a baseline app that kind of does what you want, you're talking like a few prompts. You know what I mean? And I've got these apps running in development mode on my iPhone. It's really neat, dude. I mean, it is really cool. My plan overall, what I really want to do is basically just learn how to get apps on the App Store, and then start kind of just honestly just like shitting out apps. You know what I mean? Just like app. Just put a bunch of apps out there for sale. Now, either they could be for sale, or they could be free with like ads, or they could be free with ads, and then there's like you set up additional payment stuff so people can like upgrade once they already have the app. There's these different strategies. And I also am asking Claude about all this stuff too. So Claude is telling me that a lot of people will do, and I've seen this, I'm sure you've seen this too. You put up an app for free, and then within the app, you can make additional purchases to go from free mode to paid mode, to get rid of ads, all that type of stuff. That's a very common approach. I guess for ads, a very common thing is use Google's ad mob. Apparently, that's just one of the ad things that you can get set up. So maybe I'll set that up as well. Haven't got all the ad stuff going yet. I'm basically just trying to get a working app of any kind, and I want to submit it to the App Store and get approved. That's like my first step, is get the first app approved. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It doesn't even have, it doesn't have to be a new idea. It just has to be an app that I've created that is now listed on the App Store. As a software developer, I think that'd be a really good step for me personally, because get some good experience for your resume. If you can say that you've created an app, that's pretty cool. It doesn't really matter that it's using AI. Everything's using AI nowadays. What's challenging about AI that I've found is that AI can get you started, but it will run into roadblocks. And sometimes it'll run into something where it just can't figure it out. For example, one app idea I had, now again, this is not like a great idea. I'm not like, wow, check out this amazing app idea. It's just something I was trying to do. Was just have an app where you would like roll dice. And I wanted to have it do like a 3D dice rolling animation. And maybe you could, if you're playing like some kind of role-playing game or something, maybe you could like set up like multiple dice, and it would just roll them and give you the totals, So I put this in Claude, and it pretty quickly put out an app for me that let me roll a dice, and I could see it. It looks pretty cool. And the dice would roll in 3D. It had some 3D animation thing that it used, scene kit maybe. And Like that was all working great. It looked like a real dice. It would throw it, it would spin and bounce and land on the side. Then, and then it would display like the number on screen. But like in this particular case, I got to the point where the AI just could not, it could not figure out how to tell me what the correct number was when the dice landed. So the die would land and it'd be like a two would be on top and it would say the result was like a four. Or, you know, if the five is on top and it would say a three. And it would just, I don't know what was going on, but it was just like randomly wrong. You know what I mean? It would be like, sometimes it just felt honestly like it was just a random number was getting picked out of thin air, regardless of what the actual die on the screen said. And I went back and forth with AI 100 times. I mean, I literally spent I spent a good 2 hours getting, like, it took me like 30 seconds to get to where it had an app where I could like hit a button and it would throw this dice in 3D. It looked really cool and it would land and put a number on the screen. That took no time whatsoever. So that is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, if I wanted to build that myself, it would take me forever to do it, dude. Like, I don't know how long, a week, you know, several days minimum. And that's like if I could even figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't know. I mean, because there's so much that the AI knows. You know, I don't know what frameworks to use. I don't know what options do I have for creating a 3D thing in an app. I'd have to like research that, start going through some examples or something to even understand how to use it. Like AI blows all that out of the water because it just knows everything. So, so I get this very, very basic iOS app up where you can roll a single dice and it rolls the dice in 3D. It tells you what's on the side. Then it's like giving me the wrong numbers on the side. So I'm like, okay, hey, AI, you're giving me the wrong numbers. It's like, oh, okay, no problem. You know how it is talking to AI. It's like, oh, okay, oh, yeah, no problem. Oh, okay, we can solve this, no problem. It makes some changes. Oh, yeah, that ought to do it. That should totally fix it for you. Run it again. It's wrong. I'm like, it's still wrong. And then I start giving it some examples. Like I rolled a five, it said three. I rolled a four, it said three. Whatever it might be. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I think I know what happened. And we just went through this loop like 100 times. You know what I mean? Like it was very frustrating, honestly. Over and over and over. Just like I told the AI that this specific thing was happening. It tries to fix it. It makes some code changes for sure. It's doing stuff, and it just couldn't get it right. So like after going through that for like 3 hours, maybe 2 hours, I was just like, okay, I give up. This isn't happening. You know what I mean? Um, so that's one thing about AI I've found is that it can be very good, but it really just depends, and it can like hit a wall where, and it would be like if you hired an engineer and you were telling them stuff and they were just like, oh yeah, sure, no problem, I got you, I know exactly what you want, and then they just come back and it's wrong, and they come back and it's wrong. I mean, eventually you would just like fire them, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the point you get to with AI, where it's just like it works really good for little things, but then, or even bigger things, it can work great. But sometimes it'll just hit a wall and it just can't figure it out. You know what I mean? No matter how much AI brain power it has, it just can't figure it out. And then you're kind of stuck. You know what I mean? Because at that point, I really have to go into the code and start figuring out what it's going to do. Um, and for what I'm trying to do with something like Claude right now, is I'm kind of just trying to determine like what can it do for me easily to where I can just create some apps in a very quick and easy way. Maybe like I was going through the app store, looking at like the top paid apps, looking at the top free apps, and trying to see just like what are some things that I could like pick off where I just make something similar. Like if these apps are getting all these downloads, maybe I can just make something very similar to it and get a percentage of those downloads, or get a percentage of that income, right? It doesn't have to be big, but I mean, if I'm able to spend a week, put some app out there that makes a couple bucks a week, keep doing that over and over, eventually you got something going. Plus, I mean, you might hit on something that actually is legit popular. But yeah, that's kind of my long-term goal, is just get a bunch of apps out there, ideally make a little bit of income on some of these, and maybe one day you get lucky, you think of actually a good idea, and it really takes off. So the other thing that I found with AI is it definitely seems to work better if you give it smaller, more targeted tasks. You know what I mean? Like I was iterating on this user interface on this iOS app I'm working on right now with it, and I would tell it like 5 things, like, oh, these numbers aren't aligned correctly, this button is getting cut off on the side of the screen. Like I'm like, here's my laundry list of everything wrong with the app right now. Can you fix it? And you'd be like, okay, sure, yeah, I did, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I fixed it. And then I would run it again, and it would like not be that great. Then, and so we'll go through some iterations of that. Then I'm like, okay, can you just make it to where these numbers are wider and they match the sides of the screen? And then it seemed to do better with that type of instruction, where it's like, okay, I have a single problem, I'm going to kind of fix that. So that's like just some thoughts I have about using AI. The other thing cool about Claude is you can create these sub-agents. Now what sub-agents are is you basically have these different personas within Claude, within this AI tool, they're like different people, you know what I mean? And it's cool because you kind of just said that you can create a sub-agent. Like today, this is like a common one, like an example they give you, but as like a code reviewer. So you go to create an agent, and they basically type a detailed description of what this agent does. So I'm like, okay, you're a really experienced code reviewer, you're very detail oriented, you think about performance, you think about documentation and making sure the code's easy to read, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it creates this like code reviewer agent. So I'm working on this project. Then I'm like, okay, use your code reviewer sub-agent to go through and like clean up my code and make any kind of fixes that you see fit. And it does. It goes through, like refactors all these, refactors a big function into smaller functions. It finds things that are like small performance issues that it can change. And it's just like having a different AI to analyze what you're doing. So I think what is going to be beneficial for me is to set up like multiple of these sub-agents. And some of them, I can set up one that's like a UI design expert. Like you're an expert iOS designer, you're really familiar with all the different UI frameworks and whatever, different ways to do stuff, think of some way to put it. And then I'll have that agent work on like UI changes, you know what I mean? And you can just set up these different personas. I think it's just as kind of good to give the AI a different starting spot to hopefully to where it doesn't get stuck as bad, you know what I mean? Like on the whole dice rolling agent thing, I wonder if it would have helped me, or dice rolling program rather, I wonder if it would have helped me if I would have told it like, hey, you're like an expert 3D engineer, you're super familiar with all these 3D modeling, packages, and you're really familiar with how all that stuff, whatever, you know what I mean? And then tell that sub-agent, hey, these numbers aren't coming out right. Can you analyze like why it's not reading the 3D stuff properly? Maybe that would actually solve my other problem with the dice rolling app. So anyway, just some thoughts on using AI to write programs. I think in theory, anybody could use something like Claude AI to write like an iOS app. I think like for me personally, I'm in a better spot because I understand software engineering at some level. So if you understand that, you're going to have a better idea of like what's going wrong and you'll be able to put better prompts in. So I think you definitely have a leg up as like a software engineer. But at the same time, I really think anybody, especially if you have like a kind of simpler idea, really anybody could go in and just say like, hey, I want to make a iOS app. Can you do it for me? And it would just kind of start walking you through all the steps. So anyway, that's my video for today. I guess in the coming weeks, this is something that I'm trying to put some time into. I'm going to put more and more time into trying to create my first iOS app. I'll post another video once I get that app on the App Store, let you know how it's going. Probably won't tell you what it is because obviously I'm trying to remain anonymous on here and everything. But, my question right now is, can I use this to create an iOS app that I'm able to get distributed and approved on the App Store? I think the answer is yes. And that's very exciting because I've never done it before. I would really like to. It would be like a good milestone for me. So I'm going to continue to try to do that, and I'll keep you posted of how it's going. But if you haven't checked out Claude, it's CLAUDE.ai is the site. It's amazing, man. But even like ChatGPT is very good for different things. Like I've written some really cool programs with ChatGPT. Even like this whole visualization thing with the pixels and all that, like I worked on that with ChatGPT. I think it would have been a lot easier to do with Claude because Claude will basically like write all the code for you as well. With ChatGPT, it'll kind of like put the code out and also like copy and paste it in, or so it's just like more steps. With Claude, it's really cool because it just analyzes your whole code base, like either creates a new code base from scratch, or if you already have a code base, it just like reads all the files in that directory and just gets familiar with it. Like it's very powerful. So anyway, I think if you haven't checked it out, if you're a software engineer, I definitely think you should check it out. And, I guess like in general, if you're a software engineer, it just makes a lot of sense. Like, get on board with the AI shit, dude, because AI is coming to take your fucking job. I know it's coming to take my job. 100% I know it. It's just a matter of time for when AI takes my job. The only way it's not going to take my job is if it's like either you use AI or AI uses you. You know what I mean? AI is going to like come for your job. You know what I mean? If you're just sitting there writing code every day, you're not getting used to how to use these AI tools to write code better and be more productive. Eventually, your company is just going to say like, well, we got Steve over here who's able to use all these AI things and get all this shit done. We don't need these other junior engineers on the team. We can just have Steve do everything with all the AI tools. So you kind of need to become that guy where you are using the AI tools, And I made a video recently about this, talking about how software engineers are basically going to be like self-checkout people. And that's what I'm talking about. Like right now on your dev team, you got 6 people, 6 engineers on the team. With all the AI tools, companies are going to be able to whittle that down to 3 engineers, 2 engineers, maybe like 1 engineer just using AI. You can be that 1 engineer using AI and you'll probably still get paid great for it, But you need to get on board with AI. If they're probably using it at your work, but if they're not, or even if they are or not, it's just a really cool thing to try to do on the side as well. So for me, like working on these iOS apps, it just gives me more exposure to the tools that are available. So I really think I'm gonna be able to get something going with Claude. Even if I don't, it's still good exposure for me. Just like work with these AI tools and start to get more familiar with them. But yeah, I'm hoping to get an app up. I'm hoping to submit an app tomorrow to the App Store. I have something to where it's going pretty good. I feel like I'm a few adjustments away from having it working to where I'm pretty happy with it. And by a few, I mean more than a few, but hopefully less than a day's worth of work to get there. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to see if it works out. And if I do, I'll post another video about it. But that's my experience with Claude AI. I think it's a pretty cool tool, pretty cheap. You know, it's like everybody wants everything to be free, whether it's an app or whatever. But I mean, I'm paying $20 a month for Claude. That's not bad, man. I mean, it's essentially like you're hiring an engineer to work for you, or like a team of engineers. You know, if you can leverage the tool successfully, it's the same as if you would like pay money to hire a team of engineers for you. Now, is that hiring a team of like experienced, perfect engineers? No, it's going to be engineers with like some good knowledge, but they need a lot of coaching. But at the same time, we're talking $20 a month, man. I mean, it's nothing in the grand scheme of things. And for the power you get, for all the functionality you get, it's straight up incredible, man. I mean, the tools are going to keep getting better, but I just really recommend if you're an engineer, or even if you just are somebody who wants to write apps and you don't really know where to start, I just say download one of these things and start trying, dude. I mean, Claude to me is the best one I've ever used. You know, I know there's some, there's a bunch of other options out there. I'm not sure where I saw the thing about Claude, but I saw it, started looking into it. I was like, this is fucking cool, and I started really getting into it. So I recommend it. Give it a shot. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to respond. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.